Today's context winner is Mr. Erik Kratz with that bald-headed, pointy nose. Congratulations.
Beauty.
Come on,
beauty.
Daryl,
You get to
let's
see
do
this
game 6.
for 2 hours. Let's go.
And I can't hold it much longer. Gonna let go so I can be free.
This is the best it's ever going to get, okay, people? It's Friday. Happy Halloween. It's Game 6 of the World Series. We start the show with not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 in our cast of characters. Scotty Braun here, kind of like an alien vibe. It's not my best work. Todd Father, you want to say hello with what you've got?
Hello there. It's me, the Batman.
All right, now you toss it to your buddy who won contest of the day.
Kratz, you go.
Kratz, now I am Gru. I am Gru, and my friend Kevin Pillar, he sometimes is Superman. Sometimes he dresses as Superman. You don't always have to have the Superman because Superman wears his clothes underneath, so he won't be taking it off right now. So Kevin Pillar, it's good to see you.
I love that. Thanks, Guru.
That was great.
Very good. One more thing before we start talking World Series with Mr. Pillar. Tonight, Game 6, post-game show. Kratz will be with me, and can I say it yet? I think I can say it now.
Say it with your chest.
Okay. Buck Showalter. Buckle up, baby. He'll be on the post-game show with us. 3-man booth, bringing it, okay? After Game 6, Gausman versus...
I guess Gausman versus Yoshinobu Yamamoto. I think we lost Scotty's internet, so either way, that's what we're going to do for the post game. And you got to join us because it's Game 6. 7 games. I had to get 6, 7 in there at some point for the kids. But either way, Game 6 is going to be ridiculous. Yamamoto coming off of 2 straight complete games. He might throw 138 pitches like he did in Game 6 of the Japan series.
Yeah, he definitely will, man. If this guy goes another 9 innings, it's going to be absolutely incredible. With or without this mask on, it's going to be must-see TV. I know Kevin Pillar's ready to go, ready to rock. So tonight, it's going to be a great night. It's Halloween, and everybody is fired up for this Game 6 coming up right now.
Yeah, let's go. All right, I'm back. I got to fix an internet thing while KP's talking, but we're here, okay? So let's charge the mound, presented by Dave.
Charging the mound.
All right, KP, let's dive into the World Series. And before we do that, just in case there is a Game 7, if there is a Game 7, Kevin Pillar will be at a Lidge store near the ballpark. We will give you more information at the end of this segment, but here's a little sneak peek. 1 o'clock Eastern time, 399 Queen Street West. It's a brand new Lidge store. 1 o'clock Eastern time, you can chat and hang out with KP. Be there for about an hour. So if there's a Game 7, if you're in Toronto, KP will be there. And we'll remind you at the end of the segment as well. But KP, how do the Blue Jays prevent that from happening?
Well, they got to go through the best pitcher in the postseason, but that's kind of been their MO pretty much all season. If you go back and look at the starting pitchers they've beaten, but just think about the pitchers they've beaten in the postseason. Obviously you're going to face great pitching in the playoffs, but the teams that they face, the Yankees, the Mariners, they didn't have scrubs, running out there games 1 and 2. They've beaten Blake Snell twice already. They got to Tyler Glass now. Ultimately he wasn't charged with the L in that game because it went forever. It actually was 2 games worth. But, if they want to be the best, they got an opportunity to beat the best pitcher in the world tonight. And that's what they're going to have to do if people don't want to see me at the Lidge store tomorrow. So I'm hoping to wrap it up here in Game 6 and get home and see my family. But if the Jays aren't able to do it today, I'll gladly be at the store tomorrow.
Yeah, that Lidge store is not going to have any more hats left. But, yes, I understand they beat Blake Snell. They didn't really beat him that great. Like, I'm not going with they were they were lucky. I'm saying it wasn't like they dominated Blake Snell. I just don't see the path to get to Yamamoto. Do you feel like there is a change that can be made by the lineup to be able to beat Yamamoto, who I counted it. I got this from a friend. 15 3-ball pitches that he's thrown in the entire postseason. 15. So he's okay with you being aggressive because he's not really giving you anything. So how do the Jays, or is it just something where, hey, you know what? Somebody pops one, Gausman goes 9.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think Gausman needs to go 9. I mean, I think the back end of their bullpen's been really good, especially late in the postseason. But, if you go back to game 2, when he threw the complete game, it was 1-1 going into the 7th inning. And Gausman made 2 mistakes. It wasn't really even a bad pitch to Will Smith. He threw a fastball up and in. He turned him one. Maxey got one out over the plate, hit one into the bullpen. But he went toe-to-toe with him. He wasn't quite as dominant as Yamamoto was, but that's been the big thing with the starting pitching for the Blue Jays. Can you just keep him in the game? If Gausman could keep him in the game within striking distance, they got a chance. But an article came out today about Yamamoto and what makes him even more difficult than the arsenal of pitches he has. He never faces you the same way at the same time. His sequence of pitching is always different. And I'm going to have an opportunity to go on our pregame show today and talk about what kind of my approach is going to be. And I'm kind of sitting here thinking about what the hell would I do with a guy who's got 6-7 pitches. He constantly changes the way he pitches you up. And I think you just got to, like you said, I think you got to sit there and go, more than likely he's going to get me out once or twice and maybe 3 times, but can I get him one time? And that's kind of how this series has felt like. If one guy or 2 guys can put a good swing on a pitch, that could be the difference. The Dodgers are not swinging the bat really well right now. I don't think we're accustomed to seeing a Dodger lineup really struggle the way that it's been struggling. If you're the Blue Jays, I think that's what you got to do. I don't think you got to really try to overcomplicate it, try to figure out how he's going to pitch you because he's so good at changing that up. I think you stay with what you want to do as a hitter. You might not get it in the first at bat. You might not get in the second. You might not even get in the third. But if you're ready for your pitch, it feels like it's going to be a one swing of the bat type of game for the Blue Jays in order to get to Yamamoto.
Now, reverse side of this, if you're Doc Roberts, I mean, how do you find a way to win a ball game? I mean, I feel like it's one of those games today where it's not going to be pretty, but you got to find a way to dig deep and win. Is there something you can do against Gausman that you see that they can exploit? I don't see much.
Yeah, I mean, if you watch the game pretty intently, in game 2, it did seem like the Dodgers hitters were a little bit in between. It kind of felt like they went into with a game plan of maybe trying not to chase a splitter, and it seemed like they were late on a lot of fastballs. Maybe that's the adjustment they make is like, okay, we're striking out a ton. Maybe they tried it with Trey Savage, like, hey, don't get caught in between, but the stuff was just so good. Maybe they just changed their approach up and they try to be super aggressive, be willing to swing through a little bit more pitches, not being caught in between, because Gausman was throwing a ton of strikes. He was throwing a ton of fastballs in the zone. They weren't all middle fastballs, but he was in the zone a ton, and he was getting a ton of foul balls. And then he was able to kind of set up his 2 secondary pitches, mostly the splitter to get a lot of swing and miss. But if you're the Dodgers, maybe you have to go against what has gotten you here all year. And maybe when you get to that middle bottom part of that order, that's usually so dynamic, maybe you got to figure out a way to play a little bit more small ball. Maybe look for some guys, like Shohei or Mookie and even Freddie, if they're able to get on, try to steal some bases. I know Kirk's a tough guy to steal against. Gausman's pretty good at holding runners, but they just haven't shown the ability that they're going to just kind of, string together 3 or 4 or 5 good at bats, a walk, a couple hits. That's really what the Dodger or the Blue Jays have been able to do, aside from having those, solo homers or maybe 2-run homers. You always hear Buck Martinez talk about it on the broadcast, a Blue Jay type of inning. And it usually starts with a walk or, a misplay. And then you got first and third, and then there's a sac fly. Then they're kind of just able to manufacture runs and put up crooked numbers on the scoreboard. Right now for the Dodgers, it kind of seems all or nothing. Like they're relying on a Shohei homer, a Freddie homer, a Will Smith homer, a Max Muncy homer. I don't know how they're going to be able to kind of manufacture runs against Gosman, who's, really good at eliminating base runners, but they're going to have to figure out a way to try to kind of string multiple hits together. I don't see it happening, though.
We're not as lucky as you Canadians because we don't get to hear Buck Martinez. We get to hear all about Shohei Ohtani, and that's pretty much it that we get to hear here in the States. But my question to you is, you've been kind of around the clubhouse, around the dugout there. Handicap me a George Springer getting in this game type of moment. Is it a start? And I also want your opinion based on what they've done the last 2 games. Should they push a 60% George Springer to be in the lineup?
God, that's a great question because they've kept it really under wraps around here. I mean, I think we saw on TV, obliques aren't one of those things, and they haven't even kind of ruled it as an oblique. They're calling it a side injury. They're taking a book out of hockey, which is very popular here in Canada, and they're just labeling it a upper body injury. There's not a lot of details, and there's a lot of hush hush about it. And to be honest with you, I was very surprised that he was even on the roster the next day. It felt like, especially after an 18-inning game, they had all the reason in the world to replace him on the roster, maybe add another arm, because they went through everyone in that 18-inning game. And then there was rumors about him being available, whether it was to pinch run or potentially pinch hit. And credit to the Blue Jays, the way the last 2 games has gone, they haven't really had to tip their hand if he is available or not available. And now kind of the rumor around here is he could be in the starting lineup today, but I find it hard to believe. I've never really seen a player call for the trainer and the manager to come out of the dugout after taking a swing. Fortunately, in my career, I never had a side or an oblique injury, so I don't really know what that feels like. But I've never seen a player leave the game under his own power, under his own guidance with a side injury and be able to bounce back in a day or two. But maybe it was a cramp, maybe it was something, maybe there's a lot of gamesmanship going on here. But, as I'm sitting here right now in Toronto, listening to, the local media here, checking my Twitter feed, they're definitely making it seem like there is a possibility that George Springer could be in the lineup at some point. Is it the best decision? I mean, only the Blue Jays and George know how he's feeling. I mean, George Springer at the top of the lineup at 60%, could be a good option. I mean, I think, the blessing in disguise we've all kind of talked about is when George went down, it's given Bo the ability to stay in the game, the entirety of the game, and DH and kind of stay off that knee. And he's been unbelievable what he's been able to do at 60%. Could the Blue Jays potentially have 2 guys rolling out there in the biggest game in recent history for this franchise with guys, probably closer to 50%? Could be interesting.
Yeah, definitely. And on the flip side of it, you think of the Dodgers too. Dave Roberts said he's going to do anything it takes to win. I mean, that's simple. Of course he's going to do that. And he did not rule out Ohtani coming in to pitch. Now, if he DHs, they'll lose that DH spot. What are your thoughts on that? Is there a possibility we might see him tonight?
I first of all, I just love we laugh at it, right? The stating the obvious. We'll do whatever it takes to win. Well, I would hope so, because if not, you're going home. No, I don't see a scenario that Ohtani comes in and pitches in this game unless it's to close it out. You're not going to take his bat out of the lineup. There's no one that you can replace him with. I mean, it has to, the stars would have to align. His spot in the order would have to had just come up. He would have to have an opportunity to maybe get down to the bullpen. Maybe they figured out a way underneath in the visiting cages there. They could have one of those rollaway mounds. I don't see it happening today. It seems like a more likely scenario, maybe if they're able to get to a game 7 where maybe they have the comfort in him coming in and throwing multiple innings out of the bullpen and then really kind of trying to figure out what to do from there. But I mean, it's an amazing thing that we even can have this conversation, that there's a baseball player in this world that is such a talented player on both sides of the ball, where it's a realistic possibility that he could come in and not start today, but come in out of the bullpen. But I mean, starting is already so difficult for him to do. Obviously, you have the entire pregame to prep, but it's one of those things why we probably haven't seen it yet. Is it's just the timing of what if he's left at second base and he hasn't had a chance to warm up? What if he's the guy on deck? It just kind of a perfect storm of events would have to take place in order for them and probably Shohei to feel comfortable, having enough time to warm up.
Do we believe that Shohei can't win a Gold Glove in right field? Like, let's say it comes in the ninth inning, Rocky's already pitched his 3 innings, Yamamoto, and it's a tie ball game. Shohei comes in, throws his inning. They don't have to remove him. They can.
No, I don't
They can put him in
see.
right.
He hasn't shown anyone any reason why he probably couldn't go out there and be great at playing right field. And I'm obviously not around the team. Shohei, from everything I've heard, doesn't seem like a guy who's out taking BP all the time. And if he is taking BP, he's not a guy who's out there, shagging fly balls when he's not hitting. But I would put nothing past this guy for him to be able to go out there and stand in right fielder, and not only stand out there, I think he'd be a pretty good outfielder. He's a freak athlete. You saw kind of what he kind of turned into as a baseball player last year when he didn't have the responsibility of having to pitch. He became the first ever 50-50 guy. He just said, you know what? I don't have to pitch. I can, absorb a little more wear and tear on my body. Let me just go out and steal 60 bases because I can. So I put nothing past this guy.
All right, your boots on the ground. Have to ask this. We don't have anybody else in Toronto. Is Toronto a home field advantage for the Blue Jays?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think in terms of crowd noise, I think in terms of buzz, I think in terms of, what as much as a baseball fan can kind of provide for its home team, I think Toronto's right there at the top of the list when the roof is closed. I don't think there's a better place. But we've talked about this on this show. I've talked about it on every show. I think baseball is a very reactionary sport. Momentum is real, and fan participation and energy and loudness is real. And it's going to be an electric scene from probably the moment the gates open during batting practice through the Canadian anthem, through the American anthem, up until first pitch. And it will remain that way until they have a reason not to. It's probably, this is like stating the obvious of, all hands on deck in an elimination game, but it is very important that the Dodgers figure out a way to silence that crowd early, whether it's, manufacturing a run in the first inning, a solo homer, because if not, that momentum is just going to keep building and the noise. And, but I've also talked about this too. I think there's also a ton of pressure when you have such a passionate fan base, an energetic fan base, a starving fan base, one that is waited a long time to be one game away from winning a World Series. You got to imagine the pressure that the ball players feel showing up to the field today. I left my hotel room at 8:30 this morning, and I kid you not, there was about 1,000 people in line already. Whether that was to get merchandise, whether that was, people that buy those general admission tickets, the standing area to wait in line, but there was over 1,000 people there lined up. So I can only imagine what it's going to be like as a player, whether, you Uber to the stadium, you walk, you ride a scooter, you park in the parking lot there. If I look down my window right now, it's probably multiplied 5 times right now. Like, this city is vibrant. It's electric. It's the talk of the town, rightfully so. So, with that comes a little added pressure. But, this is a team that has faced so much adversity. Not even during the regular season. Let's just talk about what they faced in the postseason. Losing Bo Bichette, going down the stretch, having to win a 162 to win the division, to give them a bye week. Have to go in New York to win some games, to be down 0-2 against Seattle, going into a hostile environment, being down 3-2 to Seattle to win this, and then ultimately going up against the elite of the elite with the Dodgers, a juggernaut, the defending champions, to lose an 18-inning game and come back and be unfazed. If there was ever a team that is built to kind of handle everything that we're talking about, from a home field advantage, from nerves, from understanding, I was never in this situation. I can't even imagine what it was like going to bed last night, knowing, one more sleep and I could be a World Series championship, a champion. It has to enter your mind, but this team is just so steady with their approach, the day to day. You watch them come out for BP every day. You watch them stretch. It's this. It looks like they're playing spring training games. Like there's no heartbeat. It's a ton of fun. It's a ton of passion. Constantly deflecting the attention from themselves to their teammates. This team is really, really kind of built for this moment.
Yeah, and last question for me. Every time I see this picture, I forgot I have a mask on. Last question for me. Real simple. Vlad Guerrero Jr., bro. The guy is absolutely unstoppable. How do you get this guy out? I'm telling you right now, you think about what he's doing. It's Ohtani-esque, if not better, what he's doing in this World Series. He's the MVP, undoubtedly, if they win the World Series. How do you find a way to stop this guy from getting home runs, doubles, hitting the ball hard, basically?
Yeah, I don't think there is a way right now. I think you gotta give him the treatment right now. I mean, if I'm and obviously you gotta trust Yamamoto because he's given you a reason not to, but the first at bat would be very telling to me. I mean, I would go after him because Yamamoto's arguably the best pitcher in the world right now. He's definitely the best pitcher in the postseason. But if Vladdy's able to either hit a ball hard off him, reach first base, get a hit, if I'm the Dodgers, I'm not losing a World Series. I'm not losing this series because we just continue to face Vladdy. He has shown no ability to have a weakness in his swing. He's shown no ability to really chase outside the zone. He's taking his walks. He's content with taking hits, when he gets later in the count or, he's facing tough pitching. He's set a franchise record for home runs. He's the complete package right now, but you have to give a ton of credit to the guys hitting around him too, because, it's hard to put a guy on base when the guys behind him are also producing. Obviously not at the same level of Vlad, but it's the main reason that, the Blue Jays did what they did in the 18-inning game because they had a struggling guy hitting behind Ohtani. And obviously the guy hitting behind him is a first ballot Hall of Famer, but recency bias is real. What have you done for me lately? And he hasn't been able to do much. And fortunately for Vladdy, the guys hitting behind him have been able to not only carry their weight, but they've been great. So it's a tough thing that the Dodgers are having to navigate because Vladdy's been unstoppable, but putting a guy on first base, every single time and not taking your chances, knowing that there's a lot of protection behind him is also a risky move.
AP, you're the man. This is it. This could be your last broadcast of the year. I feel like you've been doing this for years now, but you actually were playing some Major League Baseball early this year. So you've transitioned very, very
I'll
nicely.
tell you what, though, give a credit to a lot of these players, right? Because I don't want to sit here and sound like I'm ungrateful when I'm complaining, but the travel has been a lot. Like I'm fatigued. Like coming here,
the adrenaline.
yeah, I don't have the adrenaline. I mean, I do still feel it when I'm up there, watching the game, and obviously when I'm here, like the fans are still great to me. Like I still like, my heart beats fast for the game, and that's how I know I still care. But this travel has been a lot, man. Like the East to West Coast, the West to East, like. Probably fell asleep last night at 7:30 and I woke up at 10:30 and I was like, oh man, I had a hard time going to bed. I can only imagine what these players are going through right now, but they're doing a great job. If they are tired, they are hiding it because I think it's not just me, it's my entire staff that I work with, all the, people that are on the field with the credentials. We all talk about it. We're feeling it. So credit to both teams because that 18-inning game was real. That was a long day, and then the flights have been long. So kudos to these guys for putting on a show. We're baseball's in a great place. Let's not shut this thing down now because we're getting here we're getting about 8.5, 9 million Canadians tonight watching this game. So baseball's in a great place. So
It is. I'm with you. So either the Blue Jays close it out tonight, or Blue Jays fans, you'll see KP
I'll be at Lids
at that brand new lit store. It's 10-minute walk from the ballpark. That is the address. 399 Queen Street West. An hour with KP. Go say hi and tell him how much you love him on Foul Territory and on Sportsnet pre and post. Thanks, KP. Enjoy the game, man.
all right, see you guys. Bye,
See you
Gru.
soon.
Bye-bye. Thanks for coming on. I lived on Queen Street when I was in Toronto. It was great. Thank you. Thank you.
This episode of FT is brought to you by Huel. Cheers.
Cheers.
We got a new Huel edition here, the Daily Greens. I've got blueberry, lemon, and thyme. You've got?
I got myself peach and hibiscus. I love peach. This is delicious. Fuel for the go, man. And this is really good for your body. It's really good for your systems. Anything that has greens in it, especially from Huel, is pretty fantastic. This will get you going, a little energy, a little boost, and keep your insides feeling well too.
Yeah, developed by registered nutritionists and dietitians. Few vitamins, minerals, and superfoods. Only 25 calories, 4 grams of fiber, only 1 gram of sugar. That's the goods. Of course, we still love the Huel Black Edition. I got chocolate peanut butter. How you doing?
Strawberry banana is delicious.
Let's go. Huel makes healthy eating simple. They also just launched into Target stores nationwide. Try both products today with 15% off your purchase for new customers with the exclusive code FOUL at Huel.com/foul. Use that code and fill out the post-checkout survey to help support the show.
Yeah, LG Twins, congratulations. Not only did they win the regular season, but they won the Korean World Series. Is it Korean World Series? Korean Series. Congratulations to these guys. This is like Korean baseball, Japanese baseball. Like when you start getting into playoff baseball with these teams, they're legit players, legit teams that are putting together like that could rival big league teams. Sometimes their depth isn't there, but congratulations. I mean, the LG Twins, I think it's their first championship, or am I wrong on that one?
I'm not sure, but I'll be honest with you. Some of these guys go to Korea, and all of a sudden, a year or two later, they come back, and I don't know what they do out there. We got to really get out there and understand the science of how they teach baseball and preach it, how they take care of their arms. It's understandably some of the best tools you're going to have out there and some of the best teachers, too. I mean, I remember playing over in Japan. You know, it's not Korea, but still, the way they went about themselves, very respectful. The coach devised a plan for all these guys. And congratulations. It's really awesome to see them win that. I never had the chance to play in, a Korean league or a Japanese league, but these guys are some of the best players to come out of that country.
Todd, Tony Vitello is the manager of the San Francisco Giants. I don't think we've had you on since he was announced as the hiring. I think it was a first of all, what is your opinion of bringing on a big league manager or a college head coach? I always mix up head coach and manager to be a big league manager.
I think it's pretty cool. I got to be honest with you. He's paving the way for some of these college coaches to undoubtedly get a job in the major leagues. Now, this is going to be a huge step for these guys to get this opportunity. Tony's the guy. Like, this is the stepping stone here. If this doesn't pay off, then we don't know what's going to happen next with college coaches. I mean, it's unheard of. You don't see this very often, if not before. The guy talks about vision, and I think people hear that word vision. Oh, everybody has a dream of vision. But when you have a vision and goal and aspirations to not only be a manager, but to be a really good manager, we've seen his track record. It's pretty darn good. We've seen his energy. He's going to bring it every day. And I'm one of those guys that used to talk all the time, Kratz, in the dugout. You know me. We played together. I always kept telling myself 3 hours of havoc, wreak havoc, talk, bring energy to the boys. And I think this is what's going to happen. There's going to be a couple innings where they're not doing well. He's going to go to the guys, let's go pick it up. Some guys might take that the wrong way just because they're pros. But guess what? Some teams need that. They need a kick in the butt and a boost. And I am, seeing some of the quotes here. I was like, and this from Vitello, you may get the opportunities, but I don't know if you'll have a boss like Buster Posey. I thought that was pretty cool. First-year guy in Buster Posey. I played with him, how exciting of a guy he is too. He talks about vision. He's a winner. And I honestly can't wait to see if he changes his coaching techniques as he moves forward, during spring training coming up next year.
The beauty of a big league season is 162 games. He
Mm.
played, I think they had 73 games the year they won a national championship, including regular season and postseason, but I could be wrong. I thought that's what it said. They're going to know if this press conference where he said all the right words, he said, I was dissecting and consuming a lot of ideas, and the words that came to me, like all that stuff is going to get washed away. All I've heard about Tony Vitello is what a great guy he is. And that's from ex-players, that's from other coaches. But nobody really likes competing against him, which is a positive thing. But 162 games plus 6 weeks of spring training, you're going to know what this person really is. I think that's where some managers that have been managers recently and fallen off and really haven't reemerged as managers, they kind of put this front out there. So if I were to give any advice to Tony Vitello and tell him what the big leagues is like, the big leagues is like a grind. The big leagues is like a relationship with your wife, with, somebody that you're committed to, because at the end of 162 games, you want to make the playoffs. You want to get the most out of every one of your players. He's not going to take a single at bat. He's going to have to believe in the stuff that he's telling them, and he's going to have hard conversations with guys. To me, I think it's one of those things that he has no big league experience, but he has a lot of people experience and a lot of baseball experience. So my hope is that the 2 words that he came up with from his press conference, risk and challenge, he's willing to risk, being humbled in situations, but he also needs to challenge people. So I think it's something that I liked the press conference. I thought he seemed very genuine. And ultimately, he could really suck, but if Buster Posey picked him, I'm on board with him.
Yeah, and I totally agree. Only time will tell there, Big Kratz. And when we come back, we got the old man, one of my favorite guys, Timmy Kurkjian, coming on right here on FT Live. Incredible. If you think about where the year started, Kratzy, it started where? Outside of the United States, in Tokyo, Japan, and next thing you know, the finisher is going to be in Toronto, Canada. This is the first time, 2025, that a game started outside, opening day outside, and the last game finale of the year outside of the United States as well. I think this is pretty cool. It goes to show you basically, Kratzy, where baseball has evolved. How Major League Baseball is not afraid to go outside its boundaries, go outside and playing in different countries. And I think there's going to be more of this as we move forward. And to see a team like Toronto kind of finish it off, wouldn't it be spectacular to see those Blue Jays find a way to win it, understanding where they first started and where they began?
I don't know who's going to win it or lose it, but I know Major League Baseball is winning because the NFL really tries super hard to go over and play in Brazil, London. They're going to play a game. They would love to have a game on each continent and push the game that way. Ultimately, the NFL is way different than Major League Baseball. There is no way the NFL could duplicate what Major League Baseball has right now in their postseason. The fact that they started the season outside of the United States, the fact that the last game of the year is going to be played outside of the United States, it's becoming a global game. It needs to grow to some of the larger areas too, like Europe. So we need to do a better job of that as Major League Baseball. But this is just a natural, organic way to grow the game, and I love it.
Yeah, and you think about where these guys come from, all walks of life. Pretty cool. All right. We got one of our favorite guys coming onto the show, at least one of my favorite guys. This guy, he talks big, but he's one of the smallest guys in statures. He's a small guy. He's actually got bigger fingers than me, Kratzy. They're longer, and he'll let you know about it with his voice. Tim Kurkjian will be coming on pretty shortly here. But again, when we talk about Tim, this guy, historical, knows pretty much everything about every player that has walked on this planet Earth that has played Major League Baseball. And I find that pretty fascinating. You could talk to him about the 1920s, and he'll definitely let you know about it.
So not only did you say Tim is old, but he's also short. Okay. I love this is fun for me because when we get guys like Tim on, we have an opportunity to talk so much about different things in baseball. And that, we're both baseball fans, and I love seeing that kind of stuff. But one question I have for you, Todd. Did you see Tommy Edman's at-bats against Savage the other night?
I saw one at-bat versus Savage, yes. Not all of them.
He chose to hit right-handed.
Yeah.
A switch hitter. He did it earlier in the season against Jeremiah Estrada.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, I would have loved to have been a switch hitter because you never see that ball coming at you and you get the old
Yeah.
And then to go ahead and do it in the World Series because he did it in Game 1 and he did it in Game 5. The interesting thought process to me, and I want to see what you think about this, is, I think it's a bold move to take your right-handed at bats against a righty. But since he's coming so high up over, maybe it looked like a left-hander because his release point was so high.
Yeah, and I mean, for me, I want to bring in Timmy Kurkjian and ask him about it. Hey, Kurkjian, what do you think about my mask, big dog? Can you see?
Is that a mask? I thought that was just you in real life.
Oh, you know what, big dog? You're in some trouble for that one. I didn't like that. That was not fair. It's not fair at all.
Todd,
Tim texted me.
Does it say dad there? Is that right?
My daughter made it for me, actually, yes.
Yeah, when my son Jeff was 7, he went out to Halloween dressed as me. So he had an ESPN microphone with an ESPN mic flag, and he was wearing a little black suit. And 90% of the people said, "Who the hell are you?" They had no idea that he was going as poor Pop-Pop here. So yes, I think you look great, Todd, and so do you, Kratzy. You look great too. Way to go.
I appreciate that. Do you know who I am though, Tim?
You're wearing a scarf of some sort. So are you just being yourself? Is that it?
Gru. I am Gru. I am Gru from Minions and Despicable Me.
Right. My grandson Carson's 2nd birthday, I went as Dr. Nefario from Despicable Me. And he's my best friend, my grandson. When I showed up in that outfit, and I'm all covered up, goggles, hat, all that stuff. He didn't know who I was, and he got really afraid that I was the real Dr. Nefario. So I took it all off and said, "Carson, it's me, Pop-Pop, don't worry." So yes, we have Halloween costumes for sure.
Tim, you sound like an incredible grandfather, and you are an incredible baseball fan. First of all, just a big high-level question for you. What the heck's going to happen in the game tonight, Tim?
Erik, I have been wrong so many times during the regular season, the postseason, including the World Series. It's not even funny. Me and a million other people have been totally wrong. I just told everyone the Dodgers have a pitching advantage in games 4 and 5. And of course, they lost both games. Eduardo Perez, world's greatest teammate. We were going over game 5, what was going to happen. He said, "I think they get you Savage tonight. That's what I think." And then he throws one of the greatest games ever. Anybody who actually thinks we know what's going to happen tonight hasn't been watching the 2025 season, especially the postseason. Most unpredictable season I've ever seen. It has been glorious for that reason. To answer your question, I think Yamamoto is going to throw another gem tonight, and I think the Dodgers are going to win. But if you believe that, then I've been wrong. We've all been wrong so many times.
Good. Thank you for that, Tim. Anyway, talking about Vladdy Guerrero Jr. and Vladdy Guerrero Sr., I mean, look at the historical runs that Vlad Guerrero Jr. has been on. Talk a little bit about both of these guys and how really, just how fantastic he is. There's no way of getting this guy out. There's no flaws.
Yeah, he's incredible. He's hitting over 400 in the postseason. He's got 29 hits. He's got 8 homers, and he struck out 5 times. 8 homers, 5 strikeouts in this strikeout era is absolutely unbelievable. I had a scout tell me before the postseason began, he said, this is going to be the postseason of Vladdy Jr. You watch. I went, what? And that's exactly what it has been. Also, Todd, Erik, he is an above average defensive first baseman. He runs way better than people think. He's got great instincts for the game, which of course he got from his father. He is a complete all around player. And yet sometimes we just think of him as this lumbering, big, unathletic first baseman. I can promise you, he is the furthest thing from that. I knew he was a good all around player. He's even better than I thought. But the way he has swung the bat in this postseason has been absolutely incredible. I asked Ernie Clement, how do we explain Vladdy? He goes, there's no explaining Vladdy. He's too good. There's no explanation for how great he is.
All right, then I have to be negative Nelly here since I'm guru today. What is wrong with Mookie Betts? Do you ever believe that you would see an athletic player like this that has clearly is on the way to the Hall of Fame to get into a slump in the biggest time of the season like Mookie Betts has?
Well, we've seen all sorts of slumps in the postseason. The beauty of baseball is the best players aren't always the best. Remember, Barry Bonds wasn't great at the beginning. Neither was Clayton Kershaw or Randy Johnson. They all struggled in the postseason. Then, of course, they all figured it out, and I think Mookie will. But this slump is severe. He's 3 for his last 23. He's hitting the ball up in the air consistently, weak pop-ups, shallow fly balls. It just doesn't look like him. And you guys know him a little bit. He beats himself up after every out that he makes. For a great player who's going to the Hall of Fame, he is really hard on himself, and he's a little bit insecure, which I find hard to believe. Now, a couple hits will get him out of this, but he is really in trouble right now. It can be fixed in one game, but I'm not sure they're going to do much more if Mookie doesn't start to hit. Because, fellas, this whole offense, the last 29 innings, the Dodgers have scored 4 runs. They're hitting 165 with 4 homers and 29 strikeouts in the last 29 innings. It's just terrible how they're swinging the bat right now, and they're up against another really good pitcher tonight.
Yeah, in the most inopportune times, and I find that the toughest part. To be a World Series champion, you gotta most of them's got to click on all cylinders. But you got your guy going. They got their guy going in Yamamoto, man. This guy's been absolutely incredible. I mean, back-to-back 9-inning performances, complete games. Can you see this guy going in another 9 today?
I can, because we've seen their bullpen, Todd, and they've lost faith in the bullpen other than Sasaki. So he threw 111 and 105 pitches the last 2 times out. I think he's going to throw, if he doesn't get hurt early, he's going to throw a 3rd complete game tonight. The last guy to do that in the same postseason was Curt Schilling in 2001. The last pitcher to win 2 consecutive postseason World Series games and pitch a complete game was Orel Hershiser in 1988. This guy is different. He throws a javelin before games. He stretches in a way where it hurts to even watch him. He has elite command. He misses bats, and I'm told his only fault is that he's constantly chasing, I'm told, the perfect pitch. Everything has to be perfect for this guy, which is why he gets behind in the count 1-0 once in a while, because he's trying to make that perfect pitch on 0-0. Once he gets through that, I'm not sure there's anybody that can handle this guy. At least they haven't in this postseason.
Tim, you love the game of baseball. You love good stories. Clayton Kershaw, do you want to see him get in another game, risking the fact that, his last outing was awesome, getting out of a bases-loaded jam? Do you, as a baseball fan, want to risk it for the biscuit that Clayton Kershaw getting in a game could give a little bad taste in your mouth? Or do you see the Dodgers needing Clayton Kershaw to be able to win this World Series?
I think they're going to need him. I hope he pitches. I'll deal with the risk of him going out not on top because he's already on top. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's the best pitcher of this generation. He had a tremendous season. He got an enormous out in game 3 of this series. So, and I think there isn't 1 second that he would ever think, boy, what happens if I pitch one more time and it doesn't work out? I don't think that would ever cross his mind. So therefore, it's not going to cross my mind. We need to see him pitch one more time in a high leverage situation in this World Series. To me, one way or another, that would close out his career in a really good way to see him one more time.
Not only do you love baseball, but you love umpires too. You and I, when we work together, we like to see the game within the game. We talk about umpires' strike calls. We don't like this way. We like this way. First question, serious question. How do you think the umpire's been doing this World Series? Second one, did you see John Champagne on a foul tip strike 3? He went up and he gave a little this. What do you think about that one?
I watched the umpires really closely because of some friends. I umpired as a kid, and I've also been hanging around you, Todd, way too much to watch how you referee and you umpire. Yes, I saw the Tumpain thing. I think the umpires have done a pretty good job. I'm on the other side of this, fella. Sorry. I think they normally do a pretty darn good job, and I maintain the average fan wouldn't last 3 pitches behind home plate in a major league game before he says, get me out of here. This is too scary. This is too dangerous. It takes some courage to go back there. Kratz, you know this, and call a major league game. I think they've done a pretty darn good job so far, especially behind the plate.
Let me ask you this, Timmy. We talk about umpires and everything else. Can you give me like your strike 3 call real quick if we're looking right now? If you can just get in the screen there.
Yeah, well, strike 1 is like this. Strike 1, strike 2, and then strike 3 is I pull the what's it called? I pull the chain. I go like this. That's strike 3 right there. That's what I used to do. It didn't go over too well when I'm striking out a 9-year-old like that in Little League, 50 years ago. But that's what I used to do. Kind of a silent strike 1. Silent strike 2, but then an emphatic strike 3 with the pulling of the
Love that.
So you start the chainsaw, and then the kid goes like this. That wasn't a strike. Come on, Mr. Kurkjian.
Right. Well, he didn't call me Mr. Kurkjian, and he started to cry when I struck him out. So I have to be careful the next time I call a game like that. And Kratz, you've seen Todd do all of his NBA referee stuff, right? You've seen all of that. Seriously, is that the funniest thing you've ever seen in your life?
It's the second best. It's the second best in baseball. Stephen Vogt still has the best,
right?
But he's just more energetic about it. But Todd is like, he is spot on. He's like,
here, Tim, here.
No, it's here. The difference between a block and a charge for him is funny. And then he has to like run the court to show that it's here.
Emphatic.
Here.
You got to be emphatic.
It's so bad.
Right,
hey,
Tim,
quickly. Let me just fill in the blanks. So Tommy Edman told me he batted right-handed against Corbin Burns, Jeremiah Estrada, who you brought up, Tommy Kahnle in the World Series last year, and now Trey Savage. So he told me he's had at least 30 right-on-right at-bats, and it works for him, even though it hasn't worked for him against Savage in this postseason. But I found it really interesting with Burns' cutter and the way Estrada throws and Kahnle's changeup. He's thinking his way through this. But right-on-right, I'm with you guys. It looks like a disadvantage to me, but it feels right to him.
Especially, he faces right-handed BP pitchers all the time, right? So people are like, whatever. My last question for you, Tim, is this game globally, could it have grown any more in this series? The fact that Japan, 10% of the Japanese market is watching these games so far based on the ratings. More than, I think it's like 17% of the Canadian fans or the Canadian TV market. And then obviously Fox's telecast is higher than it ever has been. So could the game have grown more globally based on the fact that they're playing Shohei Ohtani's Dodgers and Canada's Blue Jays in this epic? I mean, it's been 6 games so far. We could go to game 7.
Yeah, I think this has been great for baseball. This has been a global phenomenon. It's been great. And when Vladdy from the Dominican hit a home run off of Ohtani, I mean, that's exactly what we're looking for, are the stars being their best against other stars. I'm always amused that football is trying to go international. No disrespect to anyone, but football to me, it's like as international as the International House of Pancakes, but baseball is really international, and it's gotten even more international in this World Series with what we're seeing. It's really growing the game every single day, and I think that's great.
Well, Tim, thank you very much. I want to give a quick shout out to your podcast with your son, Jeffrey, who's a real good friend of mine too as well. Great Game or What podcast with son Jeffrey, who speaks verbatim just like his father. I get very confused when those two talk, and it's a little pitchy and it's a little squeaky, but at the same time he laughs so hard, and his hands are the biggest hands for the littlest guy. He's the biggest guy I've ever seen in my life. It's incredible. Tim, seriously, you got a great podcast. We love you. I love you. I can't wait to see you again. Enjoy Game 6, hopefully Game 7, because that's only better for the sport of baseball. Thank you.
Absolutely. This series is too good to stop at 6. We got to go 7. Thanks so much for having me, boys. I'll see you soon.
See ya.
Hey, boys.
Hey there.
Do you know about Arena Club?
Of course we do.
Rip
We
some
love
packs,
Arena Club.
dude. Rip some packs.
Digitally, but then get the card physically if you want it, or if you don't like it. Todd Father's very picky. You can sell it back to them. You can sell it on that Arena Club market, arenaclub.com/foul. Be right back to talk World Series. This episode of FT is presented by Fox One. Oh, I'm back. Wow, it's good to see you guys. It's really good to see you guys.
Good
I've
to
missed
see
you
you.
for a bit.
Scott was
Yeah.
dressed up. Scott was dressed up as a guy without good internet. Great costume, Scott. Great costume.
Thank you. Yeah, I figured I wanted to be as spooky as possible on a Friday, so that's what I did. I was like, what would really spook people out? Me disappearing for large parts of the show.
You were dressed up as the Yankees back in 2021. No internet on the plane, so you were sending us letters. That was nice. That was nice of you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm old school. Okay. Handwritten note if you can read it, because I write like a doctor. But Foul Territory presented by Fox One. Free 7-day trial if you haven't done it. This is really last licks for us to tell you about it for now. And QR code's on the screen. But even when we don't talk about it next week, it's still there for you. It's brand new. Millions have signed up. So you could do the same. And that includes if you're looking for a way to watch the World Series tonight. So coming up next, we're going to just give some other thoughts on the World Series, of course. And then we have Katie Wu joining us in a little bit to talk about the Chaim Bloom era taking over and some of the changes they're making. I hear that Todd has a problem, which we'll get to as well. So, yes. It's going to be tough to take him seriously when he's got a problem like that, Kratz.
This is the best I've seen him on the show. I'll be honest with you. It's the best. It's like the least scary Batman that I've ever run across. He's like those commercials where they have Jason Bateman. He's more like Bateman than Batman.
Oh, yeah. Those are good. That's right. Well, I mean, Batman does not have such a colorful mask. It's basically a mask full of colors that it looks like your kids drew on there.
Yeah, my daughter Kylie. Give Kylie a shout out. I love you to death. Great job.
Good job.
I will say the art is incredible. Can I bring that to my next festival?
Anytime you want, at the easy cost of one Arena Club card. Thank you very much.
You got it. One high five and one Arena Club card. In the weeds we go. There's a lot of chatter about what's going to happen the next 1 or 2 days. I want to start here because I know KP was able to give us his thoughts, but Kratz, you go next as we talk about game 6. What do you think the Dodgers need to do to keep this thing alive? Like, I want to get your deep dive thoughts. If you're the Dodgers, how do you suddenly snap out of a hitting funk? And how do you beat Kevin Gossman to get yourself to a game 7? You can also include what you would do from a bullpen perspective if there's an emergency and Yamamoto doesn't go CG. Because the way I know the game, it's tough to rack up 3 straight 9-inning performances. So if that's not the case, this is your whole season. This is the biggest moment for your dynasty. Can you be the team that can rack back-to-backs? But you got to get through game 6. So lay that all out for me first.
Easy. I'll hit the pitching first. Yamamoto's going to have a terrible game, and he's going to go 6 innings. And Roki Sasaki's going to throw 2. Shohei's going to close it out. Like, that's what happens if Yamamoto just isn't regular Yamamoto. Like, regular Yamamoto might go another complete game. But to me, I don't see that door opening to the bullpen until max 8th inning. Max. Yoshinobu Yamamoto has had 15, I said it earlier in the show, 15 3-ball pitches. All postseason. Pitches. Not counts. Pitches. 4 of them were to Dalton Varsho when he got 3-0 and then he battled back. I'm sorry, 3 of them. So it's 15 total. Like, that is showing you that he is attacking the zone. And when you're attacking the zone and you've thrown 138 pitches in a game 6 in the Japanese series, in the not KBO series, in the Japanese series a few years ago, like, you're ready for these big moments. He's going to throw. We might see 125 pitches. Does that take him all the way to the 9th? I don't know. But then it's going to be Roki. Then it's going to be Shohei. Whatever Yamamoto doesn't get. So the pitching was easy. Hitting, I'll tell you what you do. You get a day off after game 5. The boys come to the yard. You swing a little bit. You feel like, okay, yeah, you know what? This place is going to be rocking. We hear it quiet right now. We are a good team. They don't need a meeting about why they're not doing well, what their launch angles are, all that stuff. They're not going to have a meeting. They're all going to go get haircuts, because when you have a haircut, you feel so much better. And if you look good, you feel good, you play good. It's just a matter of time for this lineup to turn around. They don't need to shuffle everything. Mookie doesn't need to hit 5th. I would love to see Shohei maybe hit 2nd, but I get it. It might be a 1-swing game, so you want Shohei to get up as many times as possible. And you go out there and you lay it all on the line.
I like your thinking there. I didn't think of it like that, but now thinking of it, maybe, you're spot on. Don't change too much, but maybe putting Mookie in the leadoff hole, get ready for a first pitch fastball, and just try and swing as hard as you can and see how far you can hit it. Wouldn't be the worst possibility. He's hit there before. He knows how to play that position. He knows, and he'll be ready for, if it's not a fastball, then he can make the adjustment. But at the end of the day, I don't think that would be that big of a move, because next thing you know, if he did get hot, all of a sudden you got a guy on with Shohei up. But you think about long run in those situations. If he gets on, hits a double, then they're going to walk Shohei no matter what. But it gets you back to the top of the lineup. If I'm this Blue Jay team, honestly, you haven't hit Yamamoto at all. So what's the approach, Kratzy? It's hard to do. In your mind, you're telling yourself you can do it. The only thing I could think of is sitting on a pitch that you can hit. He's got 5 pitches, maybe even more. You're not going to sit on that splitter because it's really nasty and he throws a lot of them for balls. You got to sit on that breaking pitch or the fastball the whole at bat until you get to 2 strikes, and you can't miss it. And you got to look in your certain area. And for me, if I was hitting, I'm looking for a fastball out over the plate. If I didn't get it, I have to trust myself and tell myself, you know what? I gave up 2 strikes, but I didn't give up my approach, and that's the way you got to live. Because ultimately, guess what? You can't hit them anyway. So you want to look silly swinging at a couple pitches, foul couple off, like, oh, man, I should have hit that. No, you want to get the one pitch you're looking for, stay on it, and hopefully you can drive that ball out of the park or get on base some way or another. This Dodger team's got to figure out a way to hit. They got to figure out a way to hit when runners in scoring position. Kurkjian said it best. At 4 runs in 29 innings, that's not going to cut it. Is it too little, too late? Man, a lot of people in America think it is, so we'll see what happens.
All right, here's what I'm going to comment on what you said about facing Yamamoto as a Blue Jays lineup. What do the Blue Jays do well? They ambush you. And I'm not saying ambush in a negative way. They come out and they get after it. If you remember back to the ball that Vladdy hit, I think it was a third inning the other day. I'm not sure who was on first base, but he had an absolute missile off the left field wall for a single. And then Yamamoto cruised after that. But you get to the fastball. And I'm looking at it against right-handers. Overall, he throws 50% fastballs. Now, is one going to be a four-seamer? Is one maybe going to cut a little bit naturally and show up is one going to sink? Absolutely. You can't try to divide those into 3 pitches. You know, to me, if you see the split, you don't swing at it. That's your what Todd said. You just sit on that heater. And you sit on that heater. I get it. Last time he only threw, I forget what the percentage was of fastballs. You unashamedly sit on the heater. You're going to get 3 at-bats against him. This is a luxury that very few big league hitters get, is to get 3 at-bats. Maybe even the top 3 guys in the lineup will get 4 at-bats against him. Stick to your plan. Whatever. If you're saying, you know what? No. He embarrassed me with that slow curveball. He struck Vladdy out with that slow curveball. I think it was first and third. I'm sitting on that because he's going to go to it. I don't know. A little scary for me. Get on the fastball. And if you do look dumb, like Todd said, you look dumb. It's okay. He's going to be there the next time you're up. So stick to your plan.
Let me ask you guys a question. I want to go back to the Ohtani lineup part. Are they going to move him out of the leadoff spot? Not likely.
No.
But, and I will say this, there have been some who have been like, oh, move him to like the cleanup spot. That's ridiculous. But is there a good case that he should have been hitting second in a series like this based off how bad their 9 spot is? Their 9 spot is
Killer.
an auto out the entire postseason with Pages, and they tried call the other day, but that's a problem, right? So you never have the 9-hole hitter getting on. You might have the 7 or the 8, but you never have the 9-hole hitter getting on. You want Ohtani to get as many ABs as possible in a game, but between 1 and 2, how often does that happen? Where you're like, we finished the game with the leadoff spot and we didn't get to the 2 hitter. So my question, Kratz, is wouldn't you rather have somebody in front of him who can get on and cause a little bit more pressure? To me, that's where the 2 spot changes. Remember, the best hitters in the sport were not hitting 1 or 2 in our sport until 8 to 10 years ago is probably when it started. You saw Springer and a few others pop up at the leadoff spot, right? But up until that point, if you did that, it was taboo. The best hitters were 3 and 4. So that's my question, Kratz. Should Ohtani have been in the 2 spot? We're looking back now, but we can do that. We're a talk show. It's been such a dead spot. As you guys can see, it's not just bad results. Like, it's bad ABs. AJ talked about how he thinks you would do something drastic, just change your swing, do something, because it's been auto outs, and the best player on the planet is always stepping up after an out.
All right, first I'm going to say, yes, they should have made the change. When that should have happened, to me, game 1 of the World Series, because they knew what Pages was doing and that he wasn't going to produce, but they were going to keep him in the lineup. And Mookie Betts wasn't producing up until that point either. And so you sit there and you go, I think this is okay. The reason Shohei Ohtani is hitting leadoff, and this is going to, nobody's even going to hear half the things I say because they're like, no way, your best hitter should hit 3rd or 4th. It's like, okay, I'm trying to talk to people about why the Dodgers have him hitting leadoff. The leadoff hitter throughout an entire course of a season, based on 600 at-bats basically, is going to get 13.83 more at-bats in an entire season. So they want Shohei Ohtani to get 14 more at-bats. In the history of baseball, this is how it works out for winning teams, for losing teams, everything. They want him to get 14 more at-bats, so maybe he could pop 2 more home runs, which could push them to make a playoff bid or whatever it is. Between the first hitter and the third hitter, it's 28 at-bats. So now that means the second hitter and the third hitter, it's 15 at-bats, essentially around the same for each spot in the lineup. But this is why I think the Dodgers weren't winning World Series the other times they were there. They were so reliant on this certain number that, you know what, I think we're going to pull this guy after 6 innings. I think we're going to pinch hit for Max Muncy here. Even though Max Muncy came on the show and said, hey, you know what we're going to do? We're going to, I'm going to hit against more lefties. And what that does is it keeps me on the ball longer. It helps me get an opportunity to hit righties better. Even though I'm not hitting well against lefties, I'm just becoming a better player, a better hitter. So to me, I think the Dodgers should have looked at this because all these numbers are out the window. It might be one at bat that he doesn't get. Now it's too late. Now you can't go and say, okay, we're going to shift it. But I think that's why they kept it around, and I think it was probably the wrong decision if they don't come back and win this World Series.
Yeah, and I think if they did make the decision of changing Ohtani to second and Mookie to first base, you can't look back and say, well, Dave Roberts didn't do anything. You can't look back and say, oh, that's why they lost. So that's why I think this decision would be viewed as okay no matter what. And to Scott's point, when he talked about it, I don't know how many times this happened, but when the 9-batter led off in the World Series, I don't think he got on base one time for Shohei Ohtani. It was an automatic 1 out, or when 8 and 9 got up, it was 2 outs as he got up. And that's the last thing you want moving forward. Now, does it happen like that all the time? No, it's just been exploited in this World Series. So, again, I would not be surprised if he did it. I think, honestly, it's the best move for the Dodgers. Maybe get Mookie going again a little bit, put a little pressure on him. Hey, man, you're leading off. Let's go. Be the straw that stirs the drink, per se, and get us going. So, and we'll talk a little bit more about Mookie as we move forward here.
That's actually the perfect transition. We're going to do that next segment, Todd Father. That's part of the problem, all right? Mookie's got a problem. He's going to visit the office and find out what's going on. Also, I will answer one quick question for those asking. If there is a Game 7, we will do a post-game show, not a pre-game show. We'll set up Game 7 in our Game 6 post-game show, just letting you know if you're catching this later on, if you're catching this now. I know there have been a few questions in the chat. And we will visit Todd Father to talk about Mookie next. FT is presented by Fox One. Today is the last day under contract for John Mozeliak. He has run the front office for the Cardinals for a very long time. We can save most of our ammo for Katie Wu, as we're going to ask her about the transition period and what is already happening in the St. Louis organization. There are a lot of changes going on right now. It seems like a boost, which is something that Mo wanted to, but we'll ask Katie about this. But Kratz, I think we should give a little love to Mo. He's had a successful run. Everybody remembers what have you done for me lately, and the Cardinals haven't been good lately, but they were good for a long time. And they didn't ruin baseball. They were a mid-market payroll, and they looked like a team that was always in the playoffs and won some.
He should be remembered. I guess I have to look at Hall of Fame credentials. I don't see why he would not be a Hall of Fame general manager. Like, what he did was incredible. We're going to talk about what happened at the end, and this is what happens. I think it's a line from Batman. If you're the hero, stay around long enough till you become the villain. That's kind of what happened for him. And I don't think it was necessarily anything that he did, but he's the one that's responsible for it.
And it'll be a good question. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to say how, they talk about up and down with the Cardinals. You don't really hear much bad about them. Maybe some talks, with management here and there, but it's been a really good organization Have they been winning lately? No, but at the same time, and when I played against them in the early 10s and 2010s in range, it was very hard to beat that team. They had really, really good ball players, and just fun to go to St. Louis and see that team, and not fun to lose against them. But yeah, they've been there, they've done it. And for him, last day on Halloween, is that a trick or a treat, Scotty? I don't know. We'll see.
I think it's a little bit of both.
We will steal the moon.
Todd Father. we want to visit the colorful Batman Todd Father. We got a problem today, okay? So the Dodgers offense has fallen apart lately, and specifically one of their superstars can't figure it out. It's such a problem that they had to do some lineup tweaking. That didn't work, although that might have been a different problem by the name of Trey Savage. We're trying to figure out what to do in such a short period of time. So if Mookie Betts had time right now, he would have represented himself. But instead, Kratz and I are representing Mookie as we visit the office and ask you, Todd Father, what he should do with 1 or 2 games left to go. And at some point, we'll mix in some swing results from Mike Petriello and the StatCast crew.
It might be a little too late. If we're talking about what we need to do, preparation's been there for Mookie Betts. He's worked his butt off, and he said it's not a lack of effort. You know what? Effort can only take you so far. I mean, listen, Kratz understands. He worked the hardest guy I've ever seen work in his life. Sometimes it didn't pay off. Guess what? He's in a slump. He can't find his way out of it. His hands are dropping. He's seeing pitches that he should be driving. You see the frustration. I'm frustrated every day when I wake up and the weather's like this, windy. I don't like it. I don't like the rain. I don't like any of that stuff. But guess what? We move on. For Mookie Betts, get your hands up, pal. Think about swinging down on the ball. That uppercut swing's not working. Pop flies aren't working, and there's no power behind it. And I think his hands are getting away from his body. You got 2 games to prove me wrong. Forget about the numbers. Throw the numbers out the window. Kratzy, Scotty, get the hands up. Think about catching that ball out in front and hitting the ball down and cutting the ball in half and watch the backspin homers go out. I expect a big day from you today, Mookie. It's win or go home, bud. That's all I got.
This is the best. This is the problem that I've ever seen. This was, your pace, everything, the mask. Like, I'm a little afraid of you. I'm glad I'm not in Jersey today, Todd. But everybody needs to listen to what Todd said. Todd didn't bring up any of the numbers, and we're going to get to Petriello's, if we can even bring up Petriello's graph of his swing. I'm not even sure what the exact wording is, but his swing angle. So we're talking about degree, and the fact that his attack angle is 13%. I'll be honest, I do not know the numbers. What I do know is what Todd said. And people are going to say, well, how are you going to hit the ball up if you don't swing up? You don't hit the ball up because you swing up. You hit the ball up because you make contact where, Todd?
Out in front.
Out in front. Todd's telling him to swing down. Yes, the thought process has to be swing down. Nobody's going to swing down like this, actually, to the ball. What happens is when you swing down, when you think about swinging down, now your first move with your hands is this direction. Right now, the first move of his hands is this direction. His hands are dropping. Maybe they're too far out. Maybe they're too close. Whatever it is, it's causing his hands to drop, which is causing that 13-degree angle and causing the pop-ups. The pop-ups he's not squaring these balls up. And the reason he's not squaring them up is because the pitch comes in on this path right here, and he's trying to swing across that angle. When you swing down, your swing path is now going with the same angle as the pitch, and when you catch it out front, your swing is starting to go up. So yes, you need to go up to hit it. But when you're late and popping every ball up, Mookie Betts could make a change. Mookie, if you're asking one of the other guys deeper in this lineup to make a change, probably not. Mookie Betts, if he never knew anything about baseball, he could pick up a bat and be like, you want me to do what now? Oh, I'll do this. That's what's so amazing about the fact that he's in this slump right now. And it's not pressure. He's not folding under the pressure or anything like this. It's just a tiny mechanical switch that might feel like in his head he needs to make a drastic change to get to where he needs to be. But the 13 degrees of attack angle swing is telling me in numbers exactly what my eyes have seen.
One fan question here to jump in. Nico said, feel like Betts adjusted his swing to try to hit the splitter, and that obviously didn't work. Now he's dipping his shoulder.
Okay,
No,
so that's...
go ahead.
Go ahead, Tom. Go ahead.
No, I honestly think when you're in between, I don't think he's adjusted his swing to the splitter. I just think he's a little in between. And when you struggle a little bit, all of a sudden, every pitch to you looks like either one, it's a strike, or the next pitch you're going to get 5 hits out of one swing, and that's just not going to happen. That's just being human and understanding that I'm struggling. I want to try so hard to help my team, but if he's looking for a splitter, then he's not going to be able to hit too often anymore. That's not a pitch you're necessarily going to look for, because it's so hard to throw a strike that pitch. That pitch is an out pitch for most pitchers.
All right, and everything that everybody said here is all true. Like, that's the beauty of hitting. Is I'm not sure who said this in the chat, but he said, and he's dipping his shoulder. He's not trying to dip his shoulder to try to hit a splitter. Is he dipping his shoulder? Absolutely. But to me, you have to, when you go to a guy like Mookie Betts, you're not going to a 9-year-old who's like, hey, you know what? Get your elbow up, and do this. You're going to Mookie Betts, who's an athlete. So it's more on the lines of what Todd said of, if you're in between, you have no shot of hitting anything. So you have to be fully committed. And if you are sitting on a splitter, you're cooked. You're not catching up to the fastball. So the approach has to be, if this is the case, because we're only conjecture, we're only saying what we see, and it's super easy to sit on a couch and evaluate what we're seeing. But you have to say, I'm fully committed to the fastball, because now I'm on time for the fastball and know that anything down is going to be a splitter, so I'm not swinging at it. Mookie Betts looks like he's like, I am so freaking good at everything that I do that I can cover the fastball, the splitter, and here I go. Oh, nope, that one wasn't it. Oh, nope, that one wasn't it. And big league pitchers, especially World Series big league pitchers, are too good to be in between pitches.
That was good exercise. I like that. I think problem solved. Now, I don't know if the problem will actually be solved in the game, but what I do mean, Todd Father, is we learned a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you're not learning, you're losing. That's my motto.
Todd, I will take care of whatever problem you need. I mean, today, like when you take your mask off, like I don't take you seriously. So for the rest of the problems, maybe we'll mix in like less rainbow colors on it. I need you to wear a mask, because your face is not very intimidating. But that was the problem that I've seen in our 3 years.
This thing's getting itchy too. I got maybe 10 more minutes of this and it's coming off. Just so you know, I keep moving it. I'm like, holy cow, here we go.
You're allowed. We got 40 minutes left in show. So if you want to reveal yourself at the end, as Batman sometimes does.
Listen, Scott, this might not be Todd Frazier here. Just letting you know when they take the mask off. You never know.
I'm scared. Yeah. Actually, this
It'd
could
be
be huge for you.
Kylie
You could do
at the end.
you could do 2 shows at once. Hey, we're back. Appreciate everyone for sticking with me today. No, I'm feeling good. I'm back. So a couple things. First off, Katie Woo's joining us next. I can't currently see the chat, but we have people helping me out. So if you have a question for Katie about either the Cardinals or the World Series, we can potentially get to both. Our plan for Katie is to ask her about the Cardinals front office first. She is also covering the World Series, so we can ask her some World Series questions at the tail end of the conversation. Next up, we know who's throwing out the ceremonial first pitch at Rogers tonight. Devon White.
Wow.
Evo. So who would be
Interesting.
game
If you
7?
think about it, who's game 7? I don't know, because this is what I was going to say.
John Olrud?
They've had a lot of games. Ooh, they've had a lot of games.
Trying to think who else would be from that. Yeah, I mean, they've gone through it. They did a good job in the ALCS of getting the 15 guys on there, like 2015 guys. Sorry, guys. You didn't win it because the Royals won it. Yes.
There you go. There you go. You're cool.
But think about it. So they had how many home games in the DS? 2?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah.
Then CS, they had the max,
4.
4.
And now
And now World Series,
Yeah.
3 or 4. That's a lot
Yeah,
of
a
home
lot of-
games.
The Blue Jays. This is how owners think. Owners that are not the Blue Jays, they're like, can't imagine. You got to pay each of those guys to fly up there, to stay. These ex-baseball players, they drink so much and they eat so much. And the Blue Jays are like, come on, everybody. This is a family. We want to do this every year, and we're going to keep spending. And you know what? That's what you got to do, because if you're not doing that, you're not going to be in this case. And I'm going to take a quote from Gru. I am a father now with responsibilities and a legitimate business owner.
You've changed,
That's
Drew.
all.
You've changed.
Oh my God.
One of our favorites and the true test. Oh, outside with the wind, holding the phone. This is it. This is everything. Katie Woo from The Athletic joining us right now. Katie, great to see you. And I know you're covering the World Series, but we're going to start with the St. Louis Cardinals. Yes, hair is flowing right now. So, Katie, let's start with the changes that you wrote about the other day that are going on and how they could be a good thing for a team that was scaling back in some departments in the past, right?
Yeah, this is some real on-site reporting, guys. Bear with me from the not so sunny conditions in Toronto. But let's talk about a little St. Louis Cardinals. Why not? Ahead of Game 6 of the World Series. For those of you just following along, it's been a quiet first month for St. Louis, but behind the scenes, newly minted president of baseball operations, Chaim Bloom, has been working to bolster the front office staff from a player development and scouting perspective. And we know this is going to be important because the Cardinals went out and said at the end of the season that they're going to be looking to do kind of a moderate rebuild. And when I say rebuild, I want to caution this is not going to be a full tank and tear down in St. Louis. It doesn't need to be, but it's more revamping the behind the scenes support staff, because from Cardinals ownership down to the Cardinals coaching staff, the consensus is the same. For St. Louis to get back to where it needs to be atop the NL Central, it needs to go back to being a draft and development club. Well, how do you do that? You continue adding support staff. You go and you expand your player acquisition process. You make some changes to pro scouting, to international scouting. All of these changes they're additions rather than subtractions. The goal is to not cut positions here in St. Louis. It's to add staff, and we're seeing some of those changes start to take place.
All right, from my inside man in the Cardinals, I have to ask, how the heck did they get to this spot? Was this a cutback, or from what I heard, they just had like a skeleton crew essentially based on what else is going on in minor league baseball across the other 29 teams? So was it just Mo and ownership not keeping up with the times? Was it complacency with success? What was it?
I think it was a little bit of both, right? When you're the Cardinals and you're winning consistently as they were over the past 6, 7 years up till 2023, you can kind of get away with cutting corners. And that's what the Cardinals did with their player development staff. Skeleton is a great way for me to describe how that staffing process looked up until the start of this season. The Cardinals just continued to cut coordinators, and it really wasn't fair to the staff that was still in the player development department because they were just asked to do so many things. For comparison, the Cardinals in 2023 had 5 full-time coordinators in the minor leagues. Teams like the Brewers, the Dodgers, the Mets, they have about 15. So they were really cut very slim in the player development department. And at a time where free agency contracts and trades come with monumental value, if you're a mid-market team like the St. Louis Cardinals, you have to be able to draft and develop. And St. Louis really got away from the second part of that. Their player development was very far behind the scenes. It's why Chaim Bloom was brought in as an advisor in the first place. And ultimately, given his track record at Tampa Bay, his track record in Boston, why the DeWitt ownership pegged him to be the next president of baseball operations. We're going to see the same kind of revamping, if you will, that the Cardinals did of their player development with their scouting. The thing here to remember with the scouting is not that they were barren. I don't think the scouting was a problem. They just want to add more. And this is good when you're the Cardinals and you're going to try to rebuild your organization from within. The more staff members you have, the more scouting directors, the more player development directors you have, the better chances you are of being able to develop that talent. And that's going to be the goal in 2026.
Player development is fantastic. I think that's awesome, but there's also an emphasis on player acquisition this winter. Can you talk a little bit about where and what positions they're kind of looking for here as you move forward?
It's going to be more about pro scouting and international scouting. Assistant General Manager, Scouting Director Randy Flores, his job will remain mostly unchanged. The goal is to just get him more support like we talked about. The more positions you have, the more people you have on site, the better your overall program can be. So the Cardinals are going to go back to having a more firm emphasis in scouting in Latin America under Assistant General Manager Moises Rodriguez. This is not something that they've lacked on. They just want to add more people, more eyes. When we talked to Chaim Bloom in his introductory press conference at the end of September, you've seen a lot of organizations kind of shift away from pro scouting in general in lieu of models, programming, all of the analytics, right? But the Cardinals decided to retain all 7 of their pro scouts, and Chaim has said that he would like to ultimately combine both the analytics and the actual on-site evaluators in a way to hopefully get the Cardinals an edge back in scouting at the domestic level and at the international level. There doesn't seem to be too big of a concern with amateur scouting. The Cardinals have done really well in terms of the MLB draft. They also have been aided by 2 top 10 picks in the last 2 years. So now the goal is to improve the acquisition process from the major league level in pro scouting and go back to being a force in Latin America, especially as you see, guys, most of these teams playing in October have a strong Latin American presence in terms of scouting.
All right, I have obviously some Mo questions, but I got to first ask, you're talking about players. $42 million left on Arenado's contract. The biggest conversation from last offseason gets rebooted for Katie Woo for this offseason. Does he get traded before December?
Yeah, I'm thinking about just republishing all of my stories from last trade deadline and just changing the date because it's going to be pretty much the exact same storyline. I'm not sure. I do think the Cardinals will trade Nolan Arenado this offseason, and I know I said that last year and it didn't happen, but this is different because so many different things are at stake here. One, Arenado himself is more open to different landing points. Last year, remember, he had just 5 teams that he would be open to waiving his no-trade clause for. It did not mean that he would say it for sure, as we experienced. And also, Cardinals ownership is willing to spend a lot or significant more money and more money in that trade. So 2 things helping the Cardinals and Arenado in that favor there. I don't think it happens before December, though, because what's the rush? The Cardinals have all offseason to kind of look and find a suitor. And it's going to be complicated because, like you mentioned, $42 million left on that deal, a full no-trade clause. And teams have to be able to find what I believe to still be an elite third baseman. But there has been some obvious signs of decline offensively. He spent most of the second half hurt. So there are going to be some performance concerns there. Do I think the Cardinals can find a match for Arenado? Absolutely. Do I think it's going to be one of the first trades they make? Probably not. But I would be very surprised, at the risk of repeating myself, very, very surprised if he was back with the Cardinals come spring training in 26.
Wow, we're in a time machine. Katie Woo dressed up as a time machine. We just went back to December 2024. Thank you for reporting to us, Katie Woo. My question is, 5 years from now, your time machine goes 5 years ahead. Is John Mozeliak a Hall of Fame GM? And have Cardinals fans gotten away from the recency bias and actually looked at his entire tenure for what this man has done for Cardinals baseball?
I would hope so. I understand the Mo fatigue, and I'm sure Cardinals fans, that's probably the last name they want to hear right now. I do think there is some genuine excitement over Chaim Bloom, even if the fan base maybe doesn't necessarily understand fully what this rebuild process is going to look like just yet. But it will all come down to, I think, how the Cardinals do over the last 5 years, which is ultimately not fair to Mo because he won't be a part of it. But when you look at his overall tenure for the St. Louis Cardinals and what he accomplished, not just as an executive in St. Louis, but as an executive in baseball, that I think is it's at least a Cardinal red jacket worthy a career, and he's done so much for this organization. It's hard to see that right now, given where the current state of the Cardinals stand. But 5 years from now, I do think that the recency bias maybe will be a little more tempered, and we can look at his tenure overall and say, you know what, that was a pretty good run he had here in St. Louis.
Katie, I set you up though. Sorry. I am Guru, and I definitely am very sneaky with my questions. In 5 years, is John Mozeliak actually a GM for another team?
Ooh, I don't know. I think he's always going to be a part of Major League Baseball. I think he's going to take this well-deserved year off, but some guys are baseball lifers, and Mo strikes me as one of those guys. And he hasn't necessarily said that he would not entertain another job in baseball. I think he'd actually be a really good fit working for the league or in the commissioner's office if that's something that he'd like to do. Whether it's overseen in another baseball organization, I find that hard to see right now, but hey, sometimes you have to be away from something long enough to really start to miss it. My inclination tells me no, but I do think we'll see him back in baseball in the next 5 years.
You're in Toronto, switching gears here a little bit. Do you see these Blue Jays team closing the door? Did the Dodgers come away with Game 6 here with Yamamoto on the mound?
I think the Dodgers' saving grace is that Yamamoto is on the mound right now. When you look at that Dodgers offense, I think when you've been looking at Los Angeles, maybe as like just a casual fan, you'd be surprised to see this offense the way that it is. But this is something that the Dodgers offense has struggled with throughout the season, going into these really just dismal lack of production here. Yamamoto, though, is the guy that you want to start if you're the Dodgers tonight because he has been.
Did our Canadian internet
Yeah,
kick out on you?
I think it goes 7. I think the Dodgers will pull this one out, but that offense, that's a big concern, guys.
Yeah, for sure. We got a little bit of a bump on the Canadian internet there. Your outside internet at the Lulu bar hurt us a little bit. One more World Series question from me. Is there a scenario where this game tonight doesn't end in a walk-off for the Blue Jays? Do you think the Blue Jays come out and play this as like, oh yeah, we can get to Yamamoto. We can, like, to me, and we've talked about it and you've mentioned it, Yamamoto has been dominant and he is going to be the Dodgers' saving grace. Is there a scenario where the Blue Jays cakewalk to a World Series here tonight?
I didn't think Blake Snell threw poorly in Game 5, but they ambushed him pretty quickly off the start. I don't see them doing that with Yamamoto just because of what he's looked like his last 2 appearances. But this Blue Jays team, as someone who didn't really watch a lot of American League ball this year up until the postseason, they have really surprised me with just how relentless, resilient, and they have all the energy and all the momentum here. So it'd be tough because all Yamamoto has done at this point in his career, again, whether it's stateside or in Japan, is deliver in big moments like this. But this Blue Jays team has shown already they should be absolutely taken seriously. They have power. They have ways to get on base. When they get hot, they're hot, and this is exactly where they are right now. So I expect this to be a compelling game. They have been pretty much from the start. But I still think it goes 7, guys, and I think the Blue Jays win it in 7.
Katie, thank you for all your coverage of the Cardinals this year, but now your coverage of the World Series. If you were to dress up as somebody for Halloween, who would it be?
Oh, I don't know. Something warm because I'm freezing out here. I don't know. If I would have known this was a Halloween episode, I would have thrown something on. So give me a heads up next time, you guys.
Okay. Next time on Halloween, we will give you a heads up. But we appreciate you braving the cold outside in Canada, and good luck enjoying the World Series.
Thanks, guys. We'll talk soon.
Ba ba da ba da ba da boo. BetMGM lock/chance. This was from Wednesday. There was no game on Thursday, but let's flip it forward. This is it. Are we getting big boy, big money bags Todd Father for game 6?
We are. I got to go double or nothing here, gang, because my World Series, I'm a 5 o'clock hitter, dudes. I hit well in batting practice regular season, but when the lights come on the World Series, in the dumps. I'm going all in, whatever I'm down, 3,100, whatever it is, on the under tonight, 7.5. Who says that they're going to score more than 7 runs with these two guys on the mound? I see it being a low-scoring match. I see both pitchers going 7th inning or more, and it's going to come down to one big inning at the end. So under 7.5, double or nothing. My last time out. Good luck.
I am choosing the same one as my friend Todd.
Oh, baby.
That's bad for Todd, but I am also going 2,000. 2,000 for tonight because I am going to steal the moon. I'm going to win my last lock. And I really thought the lock was going to be the Dodgers winning tonight. But then as my locks have gone, that would mean that the Blue Jays would win. So I didn't choose that as my lock. So I went under. So good luck to my friend Todd. But $2,000 so I can end in the green. Thank you very much.
Very nice, EK. I'll do mine on the next go round, but I'm actually going to take the opposite direction. I'm up 230, so I like the green next to my name. I'm going to keep it that way. You guys are balling out. More picks on the way in just a moment, and also for Hot Corner, a little coaching change that we'll go over from a guy that I think both of you know pretty well. So we'll do that in a minute. Any other last minute questions too about the World Series? We should have time in Slap Hands for a little extended for the people answering your questions. So we'll be right back. Okay, Hot Corner time. Someone's getting an upgrade, and that person is Artie Moreno, Perry Minasian, some of the Angels. Well, I don't want to say that to knock the last pitching coach, but Mike Maddox is one of the best in the biz. He comes over from the Texas Rangers. He was the pitching coach there, not back, and he goes to Anaheim. On the other end, he might see that things look a little bit differently there. Our show has not hid the fact that the Angels have some amenity issues. Hope Mike is okay with a hot weight room. But besides that, in all seriousness, who of you two knows Mike more? Neither of you? Or is it AJ that knows him well?
Did you spend an entire season with him, Todd?
No, I did not. I just know him from playing against him, saying, walking, hey, hi, how are you? Maybe a couple conversations here and there, but a good dude, very good dude.
I went to Japan with him for 2 weeks, but AJ's the one that had him as a pitching coach. But you see and you hear things about coaches around the league, and his track record clearly speaks for itself. I think this is an incredible hiring by the Angels. I'll be honest, I'm not sure how they pulled it off. I'm not sure how you can get a veteran pitching coach to go to a place where you're not bringing pitchers in. Do they have good pitchers? Absolutely. They have some nice pieces. They have some nice pieces of young pitchers that are coming up, but a guy like Mike Maddox, he's not just trying to be employed. Like, he's trying to win a World Series again. And he is a very, very dedicated to his craft, very good at analyzing what guys do in real time. But he's also a good, we always joke about the fact that he comes out to the mound and he holds his hand over there and he puts his hand on the pitcher's shoulder and feels his pulse. Like he's a good evaluator in the moment. So to me, he's up there in the pitching coaching realm as K Long is in the hitting coaching realm. Like guys that have had success, guys that have had a lot of people speak highly of him. And for the Angels, this is a big get.
Yeah, my question would be: is like, do we know the reasoning why is he from California? Like, is there a reason why he wanted to go and get this job? Is the money different? Like, because I didn't hear much about it.
It's a good question, and
You know what I mean?
think
Like,
many players would be saying the same thing. Well, I have a question for you guys, and I'm coming in kind of blind here, unless there were reports that
Yeah.
had more details. Was he not invited back to the Rangers? Because
yeah, I don't.
didn't-
That's
pitching
why I
wasn't
need
the
more.
problem there. Pitching was exceptional this season,
Yeah,
right?
I
Weren't they
need
one of the
more. I
top
need more.
ERAs?
I didn't,
Yeah.
and I didn't know you were allowed to kind of do this. Like, did they like ask for permission? Is there like a fee you pay? Like, I don't know
Sure.
the whole thing. Like, hey, listen, we want your pitching coach. What do we have to do? Is it okay if we talk to him? Like, is there rules to all this? I'm sure there is, but it's like,
Yeah.
I want to know. There's got to be a reasoning why he wants to go over there. Kurt Suzuki, like, does he have ties with him? So I don't know. It's a difference. You think about little things like there's no income tax, state income tax in Texas, right? There's not. California, you're
Yep.
going to get chopped to the bits. I'm just thinking out loud. You know, he's not a young puppy. I mean, but at the same time, it's like you're going to take a hit on, you know, money as well. So to a team that's, you know, let's call a spade, who hasn't done really much in a long time. So I don't know. I would love to know the reasoning behind all that.
Yeah,
I
and
know.
pitching's been a big problem for the org. And Kratz, can you also comment on if most of these coaches are on one-year contracts, do they even need permission to do anything?
You get invited back. So I know a lot of the coaches. So when a coach that's how we lost Derek Johnson when I was with the Brewers. He is an incredible pitching coach, and the Reds offered him a multi-year contract. How can you not accept that as a coach? You don't have any stability. It's not like you can go out and have a great year as a coach and be like, wow, I earned myself another, 3 years like a player would in free agency. When coaches are offered multi-year deals, and I'm not saying the Angels did this, I'm saying that when that's offered, that is huge. Like some stability, I get it. There's more tax in California, all that stuff. But if you're just getting 1 year after 1 year after 1 year after 1 year deals, it's not like there's no stability in that. And so maybe there was that, but it's also a case where coaches, while they're not necessarily fired at the end of every year, they're usually asked back when you're a guy like Mike Maddox. And they sometimes work in two different upward mobility clauses. So a bench coach or a pitching coach would have upward mobility clauses where it would say, if you get offered a job as a manager, you can go interview for it. But you couldn't go from a pitching coach to a pitching coach on another team. Other guys have upward mobility clauses saying that you could go to another pitching. You could go to pitching coach from the Rangers to pitching coach for the Angels like this, if there's a chance that you have more money involved, more years involved. So it gives coaches a little bit more flexibility. But this is something that is so undervalued and under talked about in baseball. What I would call subsidiary positions in baseball, clubhouse managers, traveling directors of travel, pitching coaches, hitting coaches, assistant hitting coaches, trainers. They're not as represented as players are, and they're not represented as well as managers are. And I think it's something that needs to change because there is so much getting put on players right now as far as analytics and information. And the pitching coach, the hitting coach, the assistant hitting coaches are guys that are needing to bring all of this information in and then give what the players need. So I think it's just something that's under-repped in the game, how coaches are not paid very much. People would gasp if they knew how much coaches made, even famous pitching coaches like Mike Maddox. So hopefully it's a good, more lucrative contract for him.
And for context, they would gasp commensurate to what everyone else makes in the sport in key positions, right? A GM, any players, a manager. Yeah, Top Father?
I was just going to say, when new manager Skip Schumacher, maybe he's bringing in a guy that he wanted to be the pitch.
He was offered.
No.
He was offered the contract.
We just got the
Oh,
clarification.
okay.
So Evan Grant, who's the man reporting on the Rangers, Dallas Morning News, said the club tried to retain him as pitching coach. They offered him the opportunity to return under Schumacher, and he chose to depart for LA. So there's more to the story. I mean, you never know. Like Kratz is saying, the money is pretty similar for a lot of these. There's not a lot of long-term stability. So there might have been something that kicked that into gear. I would try to look and see if there's any connection between Kurt Suzuki and Mike Maddox and see if there was something there.
Or maybe Skip and him got in a fight when they were in St. Louis together. Maybe they got in a fight. We'll ask Skip when he comes on. Did you punch Mike Maddox in the face?
Definitely ask Skip. Well, I'm just genuinely curious why you leave a position like that, right? It's a team that's had a lot more success. It's a team that's going to take care of the organization better. Even if the Rangers are taking a step back and cutting a little payroll, whatever, they're still worlds ahead of the Angels from an organization perspective. So I'm just curious, did he want the challenge? Did he have a better connection with Suzuki than with Schumacher? There's got to be something to it. Or, which is often the case, there's some behind the scenes connection, some family member or something. I mean, I think he lives in Vegas, but we'll see. We'll look to find that out. I want to give some extra time for slap hands here. So we're going to do a few extra minutes coming up next in slap than we usually have so that we can answer a couple of your last minute Game 6 World Series questions. And Erik's question to Todd is, will you wear that mask forever?
Life is full of disappointments.
What's up, FT Nation? All the beautiful people of FT, what's happening? You already know who it is. And look, man, if you ain't watching this World Series, man, you're missing out. But we have got a absolute death match between these two. And let me tell you something. The Toronto Blue Jays, man, they can take a punch, man. They come to a fight with the mouthpiece in. So I got to go with the Blue Jays. Finish the series tonight. Kevin Gausman's going to have a pretty decent game. Yamamoto ain't pitching another gem like he did. The Toronto bat's going to get to him. Toronto bats will prevail. And they going to pop that champagne tonight. And we're going to get that cheese. And we're putting $500 on it with a possible payout of $1,100. So let's get that last World Series cheese, baby.
There you go. 500 and profit-wise, you're winning, I think, what he said, 600. But you're not winning 1,100. You're winning 600. You're putting down 500. Just to clarify for anyone that's looking at the math. Good stuff, Pap. We love the energy. That could be the last Pap pick of the year. For me, I'm going to go the Kevin Gausman route. I thought that his outs number would be a drop higher. It's at 15.5. I'm taking the over. I think he'll perform again tonight. I could see it being low scoring, or maybe they get to bullpens later. I was having a tough time figuring out the over-under situation. And if for some reason the team falls behind by several runs, but Gausman's still pitching well enough, I think they might ride with him there as well, right? I could see him getting touched up early on for a run or two, and then he bounces back. And I don't think the Blue Jays necessarily want to unload all of their big guns for multiple innings tonight unless they're in control or pretty close to striking distance, because you will have a Game 7. So that's where I'm going. Minus 118. It's just a 118 piece to win a hundo for me. Nice and simple. There is your variety of locks. Todd Father and Kratz on the same page. Batman and Gru.
One time.
Going with the under. One time. And it could be the last time. There's your no sweat same game parlay token that you can get your stake back in bonus bets if it misses. More details within the app. Bonus bets expire in 7 days. There's additional terms at betmgm.com or when you log into your account. For gambling problems or concerns, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. Be right back for Slap. Here we go, baby. Let's slap. There is no Kratz hats today. Or is there?
There is
Very
not.
nice. Okay, so let's get to some questions here. We will start with Neil in the chat. He said, "Are the Dodgers too reliant on the long ball?" Todd Father, do you think that their offense is too reliant on the long ball? We have addressed over the past week how this team led in a number of categories in the National League, like home runs and OPS. They also went through a pretty significant slump somewhat late in the season. Do you think that overall their offense, from a player to player, is too home run reliant?
I think there's a point to it, but I also think they're just struggling hitting. And I think what he's talking about home run, maybe they're thinking about getting that big home run, but I think it just starts with getting strikes to hit and getting pitches that you like to hit. And for them, yeah, the home run's great. They do it well. They have a lot of them. So I would say yes and no. I think they do rely on it a little bit too much, but I also think they're just struggling on getting guys on base and struggling to get them in. So I would say yes, that's part of it. But secondly, they're not swinging at good pitches to get the guys in when they have that opportunity.
No, I would say no. They're not too reliant. I don't think anybody can. I don't think anybody can give you who has the second most home runs on the Dodgers. Because when you think about teams that rely on the home run, you think about the Yankees. Jazz has plus 30 plus. Ben Rice had a breakout year. Judge, Bellinger, Andy Pages has the second most number of home runs on the team. So while they hit a lot of home runs, I don't think they're too reliant on it. They just are in what Todd said, a slump.
Yeah, like you think about Mookie, you think about Freddie. I wouldn't call those
They're not.
types of players hitting
Nope.
profile wise home run reliant. So good call there. Good answer. I have a question. World Series entertainment grade compared to prior World Series matchups that you've watched, right? In these first 5 games, how entertained are you? And we're going with letter grades. If this thing continues, the letter grade's going to bump up automatically with a game 7. But Todd Father, what's your entertainment factor, right? We've had some close games. We've had some not so close games. We had one of the longest games. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, out of the 5, I think really good. Yeah, I would say middle of the pack, but we still have one more to go. I'd say on that that C plus B minus range. I think it's fantastic that you got Toronto in and LA being the favorite. And it looks like Toronto's taking care of it and almost finishing them off in the World Series. I think that'll help bring my grade up. But again, there's been a couple games of one run from the Dodgers that, been subpar. So the Dodgers could pick it up a little bit. The grading would go a lot higher too. So, the Blue Jays are going to be right there. They've been fantastic.
I disagree. I think it's an A-minus series. I do. When you have an 18-inning game, you have a historic length of a game. I think it's when you have the narrative already written. Let's say you go to a movie and you're like, oh, I know how this is going to end. And then they flip it. What? No way. The Blue Jays are winning 3-2? We're going back to Toronto? No way. Yeah, obviously Shohei Ohtani is going to do his thing. Vladimir Guerrero is going to do his thing. But when the script doesn't go the way everybody planned it, I can't not give it an A. I'm going to give it an A- right now because if it ends in a game 7, then I think I'm solid A range. And I think I'm probably in the minority. I don't think it's been boring because I haven't gotten any sleep through these 5 games that they've played, and I haven't fallen asleep once. So I disagree. I think this has been an awesome series.
For me, I'll go B plus. So if we get to a game 7, you're automatically getting into the A grade. Depending on how game 6 goes, that could bump it up to the A grade. I'm pretty close to that A- range. The thing that comes to mind for me is, yeah, we're not in multiple walk-offs or one-run games, right? The 18-inning marathon obviously was a one-run game. Most of the rest of the final scores have been lopsided, but they've still been good games. For example, the last game was not a fun watch for Dodgers fans. but it was a fun watch for most of the rest of baseball fans. Of course, it was a fun watch for Blue Jays fans. We got to watch Trey Savage dominate like that. And if you go further back, we got to see a CG, which we never see in games like this anymore. We hadn't seen one in about a decade when Johnny Cueto put that together. So those two games alone, despite not being close there, right, still super entertaining in my mind.
Agreed.
B plus, but pretty good chance it's going to at least get itself to an A minus. And if we got a game 7, then you're dipping into A, if not A plus territory, baby. We have a post-game show after tonight's game 6. Kratz will be there, maybe as Gru, maybe as Kratz. I would show up just to figure that part out alone. And Buck Showalter will join us for the manager perspective. He'll slice and dice all the moves and tell us who did what right, who did what wrong. Game 6 live on the FT YouTube channel right after will be us. On the back end here, one last time to Fox 1 where you can find game 6. So you'll do a little game 6 action. Of course, afterward, if the Blue Jays clinch, you get to watch the partay. You get to watch the on the field song and dance that they do. That's all available in the Fox One app. And wait, this part's important too, Todd Father. I don't think you were on the show for this one. We interviewed Shane Bieber. Was that before the World Series started, Kratz? Or was that in between?
Yeah, because we asked him what game he
before.
was. Yeah, we got that Bieber fever.
So Todd Father, we interviewed Biebs, and his big personal push is that he wants to party like a rock star in the clubhouse itself. They have that huge hallway that they turn into Club J or whatever they're calling it. But he would like to create a secondary room, right? Like when you go to the club and the club's fancy and has multiple rooms. He would like a secondary room where they can smash and trash the clubhouse and party like rock stars. So you might get a little glimpse of that on the Fox One app as well. But I thought that was interesting. He was like, can we mess up the clubhouse and party in there too? Almost every other team does that. And they were like, nah, we're doing this hallway thing. And then he was like, okay, if we win the World Series, can we do it in the clubhouse too? And they were like, yes.
Sounds good to me. The more the merrier. Bring the whole family there and enjoy it. Let's go.
That's how That's how you win. That's how you win the World Series. You plan on doing some crazy stuff after you win. So plan on doing some crazy stuff.
And shout out to the Fox One app. So we're showing you what it's got. Big noon kickoff Saturday, Penn State, Ohio State. At noon Eastern is big noon, and then they'll take you into that game. And then if there is a game 7, you can pop into that app and watch it there, right? So if you don't have anything like cable or any of that, Fox One still can get you hooked up. What do we got here? Just showing off gloves at the finish line?
It's my new
the
mask.
mitts. And I'm so glad Todd took his mask off. I didn't even notice.
Kratz is still in character with his bougie scarf.
He looks fake. That's how good the shave was today on his head. I'll give you credit there. The shave and then the neck, the beard, your nose hairs, your ear hairs, and everything.
The nose hairs are gone. The nose will always be there. But I thought of this maybe for next year, my costume.
Yeah. Put the stitches around your eyeballs.
Ooh, a baseball. A baseball. I like it. Well, tonight you'll see Gru, his minions, me, Buck Showalter, and a result.
There's something
I don't
in your
know if I
neck,
can
Scott.
wear this. If Buck's on, I feel like he's going to look down on me. I feel like Buck will laugh, but he's going to be like, this guy's not he's not serious.
Bro, there's a dart in your neck.
You're crazy. You're crazy.
You're crazy, man.
I like you, but you're crazy.
You're crazy. Good luck tonight. We're hoping to see a great game, Scooter. Let's get it.